unpunished.
Oh, man. All right. Cheah, 3, 2, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to the Fantasy Football Factory Pod. Getting ready for the season-long prop bet edition with our special guest, Kelly in Vegas. I'm Barstool Mintzy, joined as always by Steven Cheah. And we've got a really fun program today. We're going to find you some sleepers, and we're going to find you our favorite NFL individual player prop bets on the Barstool Sportsbook. And I've got a few other questions for Kelly, seeing if she's got any teams she likes, some over-unders. So excited to be here today with you, fellas and ladies.
Always excited to be on with you too. And I have a really important question, Mintz. And no, it's not who I'm going to draft in the 5 slot. It was, what the fuck were you thinking making that phone call? The people need to know. I love you. I know content is king, but I've learned a lot through you lately. And that is no good deed goes unpunished, Mintz.
Well, look, I stand by. It's been a hellish couple days, especially Wednesday. Wednesday, it was a wild deal. I don't know how else to put it. Dave texted me with 5 minutes left in Pick Central. Dave texted me and said, "Did you call that guy like he said you did?" And I said, "Yeah, I called him to defend you." He said, "Not good, Benjamin." Texting me, he said, "You lost all your trust immediately."
Not good, Benjamin. I'm going to steal that quote.
No, he goes, "Not good, Benjamin." And then he shuts down. I try and respond to him "Hey, I was defending you." He just shuts his messages off. I can't get in touch with him. And the next thing is just him just blasting me on Twitter.
Oh.
So it was pretty ruthless. There's no getting around it. And so it shook me. Y'all saw the video. I was shook for 30 minutes or an hour. And then I thought about it. And I'm like, okay, this definitely sucks. And I don't want to be in Dave's crosshairs, but there's no way this is a fireable offense. Defended him. But yeah, when he shut down, it definitely caused a near panic attack when he was texting me and then just cut response and then just blast me on Twitter.
I think my text to you was fuck, fuck, fuck. And that was all I knew what to say because I was like, how did this even come about? And it's because you knew this guy at LSU and you thought you were doing the right thing.
Years ago, might have.
Yeah. And you thought, hey, I'm just going to send a text, tell this guy to back off. Trust me. There's other guys looped in that whole group that came after that I personally have known for almost that long. And I am so glad I did not send a text or a DM or anything because it definitely crossed my mind to be like, hey, man, can you back the fuck up off our company a little bit?
Yeah, no, it was absurd. But, what doesn't kill you that makes you stronger. And I also know that I'm a little bit of an easy target sometimes too. And it is what it is. It was a really crappy Wednesday. Honestly, I was mentally prepared for a hell of a lot worse than yesterday was in the office. I definitely took some ricochet shots during the company meeting and I did the video for the meeting and I got kicked off the video and they let Walker do it. But it was all, it sucked.
I did realize they blacked you out and then they had him on the throne. That's okay.
Yeah.
We all know who the real king of the South is. Don't you worry.
No, the thing is everyone knows who the real one is. And you wouldn't even believe I'm not going to name, I don't want to throw any names under the bus with the stuff, but I couldn't go anywhere at the party without people just putting a fake crown back on my head last night at the Barstool party and DMs, the South's not happy. They say the wrong person's king. And I just feel like he better enjoy his reign on the throne because I don't think it's going to be a long one.
Ooh, interesting. Let me play devil's advocate. I want to ask one question. So this guy that went after Dave that you've known for a while, you're not really friends with him, but you had his number and you were.
No, I'll tell you. Here's what I'll tell you. I know him. We have a mutual friend who's one of my best friends that's friends with him. And I hit my buddy up to get his number. My buddy, I have a buddy that I went to that's from Louisiana that knew it was his pledge brother at LSU. And so he knew him through that. And so I hit him up and I was like, hey, I'm going to call Stein and try to get this crap settled. So if that's a crime, that's how I got his number. It wasn't a guy I know that's on speed dial or communicate, You didn't
think at any point in this process, maybe this isn't the best idea.
Yeah. Looking back on it. Yeah. It was.
But I will say this. If Mintz called me as a friend and was like, hey, I know this guy. Should I text him? Should I call him to maybe get him to stop? I think that my answer would have been the same. I thought that it, like I said, no good deed goes unpunished. It seemed like a really good idea at the time. Unfortunately, it wasn't either implemented correctly or he fucking threw you under the bus.
Exactly. No, exactly. Like I said, he's not a friend of mine. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, he's not like he's a person I knew that was not, and he's claiming like we're all friends. He's not a friend of mine. I literally knew of him because of a mutual friend. So I don't know. Whatever. It sounds like I'm just making excuses, but I'm just telling you.
No, I don't think you're making excuses.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not lying about anything. Like I said, people say, "Did you call?" Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything to hide. I freaking called to defend my boss and my company. And if that's a crime, then I'm guilty.
Let me ask one more question, and this is the one I think that people are dying to know. Why did you say off the record?
Because I didn't want him to go around saying I called him and getting into all that crap. That's why.
So off the record was just the fact that you called in general.
Yes, off the record wasn't anything. I was just like, I don't want this coming out. Him mentioning I'm contacting him, getting in the middle of this stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, you guys want to know full truth? I thought his video was fucking hilarious as a Las Vegas resident. I was dying laughing. I didn't see it as what our company saw it as, right? And so knowing that he was in Vegas, he already followed me because he knew Mintz. Yeah. I clicked his profile. I was with a bunch of the guys that I work with, and they're like, hey, invite this guy to dinner. He's fucking hilarious. Luckily for me, I had too many cocktails and didn't follow up. But imagine how bad that would have been for me. It's like a picture.
Yeah.
That was before all the Dave stuff, right? This was like a week ago, over a week ago now. Yeah. But like, imagine if there's like some photo that gets tweeted out and they're like, oh, look, Mintz called him. KIV's having dinner with the guy. Like I'm not going to lie. I called one of my producers and I was like, what's happening with Mintzy before I even reached out to Mintz? Because I was like, did I just get myself fired just by thinking his video at the Las Vegas, city commission meeting was hilarious. I also have to kind of tiptoe around things, now that we're a big corporate entity. Because
I guess, but yeah.
The word degenerate is one of my favorites. And I understand that it can be a negative connotation. There are other things that I always like to talk about, I don't ever use the L word. I don't ever tell people to bet their house on something. Obviously,
I hate the L word too.
Yeah, it's never been in my repertoire, but I'm like, if I can't call somebody a degen for putting together a 10-game baseball parlay, but you can have, people say other things, it's kind of a weird slippery slope. So I think now, there was like some Instagram that followed me last night. They also followed my good friend Ariel and also followed Megan. And I laughed. I go, is anybody else getting followed by this guy? And it's literally, I will fuck your bookie's wife is like, or something like Instagram hilariousness. And I wanted to like tweet, hey, is this Stu Finer's burner account? And, I had not one, but two producers right back go, no, that's a bad idea. And I'm like, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
Wait, this random account just followed 3 women in sports betting just out of curiosity. Stu, what are you doing?
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's a fine line, but I don't know. I just hate getting in the direction, especially because, since Omaha 2021, when Dave dragged me, I've had like such a good relationship with Dave. Like
Dave loves you. That's why I said I wouldn't look too hard into it.
No, I'm not. I feel like now that I'm like a couple of days from it and have been able to evaluate it, I feel like it's like almost like being in a fraternity going through like a very hellish pledgeship.
That's too funny, except you've been at Barstool for way longer than
I know, but it's just like days. That's almost what it like feels like, I don't know.
That's time heals all wounds. So hopefully
we're gonna be all right, man. We're gonna be all right.
Time heals all wounds. We know who's going to church on Sunday, Steven Cheah.
Yeah, but like I said, the thing was about it that got me was him texting me personally and then shutting it off. It was that stuff that's why I got so shook. Okay, I've kind of been in Dave's shoes like that before. It's like you just want to say your piece and you want to be pissed off and you just don't want to hear anything else about it. Yeah.
So I get where his thought process is. He didn't want to hear your sorry, your excuse. And who knows what was actually said to him. But I've been there where I'm just like, no, I don't want to hear your shit. I need 3 days to be mad at you.
Yeah. It's whatever. I mean, we're going to get through it. But I definitely was shook though and did not look the best on that video, but it's okay.
All good.
We're still here, and I'm back. Like, I feel like part of my thing is like I'm so easy to attack because like I'm very gullible too, and I'm a big big, it is what it is.
Big teddy bear.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Well, now I'm going to hijack the show since we're already 15 minutes in and talking about Barstool drama.
But speaking of the Vikings, Kelly, you like them this year. What specifically about them do you like?
I just think that more than anything, Cheah, is that the NFC North is going to have a down year. The Bears are in complete rebuild mode. I'm not sure where all the love for this Lions team's coming from. While I love Dan Campbell, and no, I have not started Hard Knocks yet. I like to binge watch it all the episodes at once because it's just more fun that way. Right before NFL, get you nice and pumped up. I do not see this Lions team hitting 6 wins. I know that it sounds crazy. I know that it sounds absolutely terrible, but I like the Vikings to win the NFC North. And I actually just confirmed one of our customers out in Vegas got us tickets, who is a huge Packers fan. He's like, here, you can have my 2 tickets for whichever game you want. So we pick New Year's Day. My boyfriend's a Packers fan. I have a crazy amount of different bets on the Vikings this year. So it's going to be really funny because I said to him when I saw him, and he's like, here, get your ticket account open. I'll transfer him. And I said, sure, no problem. And I look and I go, man, I can't wait to catch that plus 275 in person. He goes, you're going to be wearing purple? And I'm like, this year I am. I love the Packers. I always have. Aaron Rodgers, big fan. But I just see a down year for this Packers team. I think this is a 2-horse race in the NFC North. And for plus 275 at the Barstool Sportsbook, I've got to go with the Vikings. And that's also because I love Dalvin Cook. You and I did money shots a few weeks ago, Cheah. Talked about how I love the over 9.5 rushing touchdowns minus 130. We know this Vikings team's already a run-heavy team, right? And what I've seen from McConnell, I really think that that's what he is going to focus on here. Speaking of McConnell, guess whose coach he was at the formerly known as the Washington Redskins? Kirk Cousins. And so I get a lot of shit from way back in the day. There's a funny picture of me in a K-State jersey. Not a Vikings jersey, even though it is number 9 Vikings jersey. It is not a Kirk Cousins jersey. It was actually when he was at Michigan State with me doing the heart hands about how much I loved Kirk because he helped me cash an underdog parlay. That being said, I love Kirk Cousins. 4,650.5 passing yards this year. I expect him to air it out. From all of the things that I heard about my beloved Coach Zimmer, and if you guys didn't know, I was obsessed with Coach Zimmer for about a 5-year stretch because he was one of the best ATS coaches in the country. As far as the whole NFL goes, he was amazing. And that's because he had balls, right? I loved when he would punch it in instead of kicking a field goal on the 3-yard line. I mean, those are the kind of coaches that I want to bet on every week. I don't want the guys that are sporting all the kicking for losers moments and finding out how much. Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. 4,250. That's Patrick Mahomes. It's 4,600.
Okay. Huge. Okay.
4,250.5 passing yards. That being said, I didn't know how much Coach Zimmer hated Kirk Cousins. Had no idea. And with his departure, hearing that, you kind of have to wonder if the culture has started to change a little bit in Minnesota. My buddy Ben went to K-State with me, played for the Vikings. I'm texting him, asking him what he's hearing out of minicamp. Things are good. And I'm not going to bet the Justin Jefferson prop, even though it is there and it's going, come on, Kelly, come on. The water's warm. Just jump in with all of us. I think that's a little bit too much correlation for me if I do draft him on my fantasy team. You mentioned if he goes 4th, I may end up on that Justin Jefferson prop as well. I do kind of think Adam Thielen over is kind of a little sneaky just because.
The yards or the touchdowns?
Well, both. Only because depending on how you want to play it, are we going to see JJ get double teamed all season long? Of course we are. And Adam Thielen, who was essentially wide receiver 1/2 there over the last couple of years, has now quickly been moved into almost the 3rd position. And I do think that he and Kirk have a great relationship. And I think you'd be surprised at how many balls we're going to see Thielen take. And I actually was talking to one of my partners on the fantasy football team. And I asked him, I said, hey, if we don't get JJ, do we look at Thielen in rounds 6, 7, 8? And he said, abso-fucking-lutely. So he's circled on my long list in case we don't get the wide receiver 1. I do feel that strongly about this Vikings team. I expect a big year out of them. You can bet yes to bet the playoffs. There's a lot of things here, but if you notice, when I'm high on a team, I'm all in. And that could be very catastrophic for some of you. So make sure you practice good bankroll management. Don't go too crazy on some of these season-long bets. Remember, the bookmakers are locking up our money for 18 plus weeks.
Yeah,
so that's everybody pump the brakes. This is actually the most NFL bets that I have had in a really long time in terms of season long, either futures, win totals, prop bets. So I'm going a different route this year than I have in years past. And that's just because there's a couple teams that I just really love.
Okay. I like that.
I want to get into one thing before we get into our season props. I know we got to get them. You talked about a few teams you really love. Do you have any like win totals or like odds to win team bets? Like a couple, do you have any of those you want to hit real quick, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically the same thing you just heard with the Vikings is how I feel about the Saints in the South. I think the Saints are going to win.
That's what I think too. I got plus 340.
Are going to win the NFC South. Race. I've got Jameis Winston.
8-1 against Tampa in their last 9.
Yeah. Oh God. If you don't think that Grandma and I don't already plan on going to that primetime game, you're out of your mind. It's already circled on the list. When Monday our producer nighter? Jack asked, Grandma's a huge Saints fan.
I might see you there.
Well, let's plan on it, Che.
So this is the game. It's in. Are you talking about the Tampa? It's in Tampa.
Monday nighter.
Yes.
Thursday
night.
Yeah. No, Monday night.
No, Monday night. I'm so sorry. Thursday night's Ravens because Ariel Epstein's flying in for that one. I've got a couple Bucks games planned, Che. So you just let me know, and you're welcome to come to any and all of them.
I love doing the road Saints Bucks on the road. I'd be down.
Oh my God, we had the best time last year. Truly, Grandma is a huge Saints fan. She was hilarious. Obviously, I was sad that Jameis wasn't there. But it was incredible. And I kept making fun of them about kicking field goals. And I kept waiting for Tom Brady to throw 2 big touchdown bombs. And it just never happened. It was a great time. And I'm high on the Saints this year. I'm hearing great things about Jameis as far as his progression from his injury last year. He should be all good to go. And if you didn't already know, they love him in that locker room. And coming from the old school Bill Snyder of leadership studies, K-State football, all of that stuff that really helped me grow and learn as an adult. I love that. I think it is so important to have leadership in your locker room, whether it's on, offensive or defensive side of the ball or one of each. And Jameis is very beloved there. And I think that shows kind of how not only his coaching staff feels about him, about how his teammates feel about him. And I do believe that it does correlate to the field. So if Jameis stays healthy, over 3,700.5 passing yards, Saints over 8.5 wins, Saints to win the NFC South.
I freaking love it. Let's go.
One that Megan gave out that I haven't bet, but it's written down. And I believe Steven Cheah has one that might be correlated. Megan loves Olave this year. I have him circled. Cheah, was it you that had over 4.5 touchdowns?
Not for Olave.
Okay. That might have been Megan then that bet it. I have all the notes from the day that we did money shots that day.
I like the yards more than the touchdowns. I think he's going to get because he's going to be the downfield threat, and Jameis is going to push it vertical to him. So I don't know. I'm stoked. I love that you're stoked too because I think the Saints thing this year is fascinating because the national media has been so down on them with no Sean Payton, but then everybody locally that follows the team is like super, super pumped.
I feel like on paper, they look to be a really, really solid team, Mintz. And as far as all the futures bets goes, they're all correlated with one another. If Jameis has a monster year, he's gonna go over his passing yard totals. They're probably at least at plus money, right? I'm gonna take a shot at plus money. And then the only team that I bet out of the AFC was the Baltimore Ravens. And I know that sounds a little crazy because AFC North, I think, is going to be really scrappy this year. I'm high on Lamar Jackson. I know right now he's.
I am too. I hope he doesn't sign the contract before the season. I want to see him go here and judge on him this year.
I'd love to see that as well. Look, basically, bottom line here, how the bet's looking. I love John Harbaugh. I just mentioned all the things I loved about Coach Zimmer. John Harbaugh is a nicer, more buttoned up Coach Zimmer. He also has guts. I love to see it. They also have just an absolute monster lineup here. I know Hollywood Brown's gone, but everybody relax, calm down. I think he might have caused a little bit more drama in the locker room amongst other things than we kind of realized. Just saying, could be wrong. What I do have my concerns about here, though, as far as the Ravens go, they've got to step it up on defense. They have to. That secondary got burned so many times last year. It was very frustrating. We'll see if they can't work on that pass rush and, just actually playing, their corners just a little bit better. The other thing about Lamar Jackson, And what I try to look at when I'm betting these futures is who's the backup, right? What did we see last year from Jameis's backup? And that was excellent play in being able to win games that they shouldn't have won, even with a hurt, star quarterback, if you will. That's what I'm seeing here in Tyler Huntley. Honestly, I think Tyler Huntley is serviceable enough that if Lamar does repeat an injury and misses a few games, that he should be able to squeak out some wins. This is a Ravens team that doesn't have particularly a hard schedule. They don't have an easy schedule either. But I think that if something happened to Lamar, they could maybe squeak by, particularly in that stretch late where they're playing teams like Carolina, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Atlanta. If something did happen, and that's my concern. I know a lot of people are really high on the Bengals this year. I'm not one of them, and I'm definitely not high on the Browns.
Yep, same.
All right. Well, we got to get to some props here. I love having Kelly on, though. I know we did this last year. This is a lot of fun.
I actually really did a lot of fantasy football homework. And normally I don't. Like I told you guys, like the skin in the game got upped, and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
I have to get my A game on. And I do find it interesting, the correlation between making bets and drafting fantasy football players. I mean, the math at the end of the day is still the same when you're looking at who you want to draft versus which teams you think are going to be good versus which players are going to go over or under said prop bets. So I think it's really interesting for what you guys do. I know Cheah loves to trust the data. So
got to.
I'm in the same boat. I like to manipulate said data to go along with my personal opinions. So we'll see how that ends up playing out for me this year.
I know you said be responsible on those preseason bets, which I totally agree. I will say definitely be responsible. My preseason numbers-based bets, so not like defensive player of the year and awards, that type of thing. 12-4 last year. So I got my 10.
Now here I have to ask you as a bettor. So I bet when I make my bets, let's just use an average NFL Sunday. I have 2, 3, and 4 units. Like 4 means I love something. And it's very rare. That's going to be like 3 times a year that I bet 4 units on an NFL game. So when you're betting these prop bets, personally, I bet them all flat. I bet them all for 2 units, just flat across the board. For regular season win totals and player props for the to win the division, because they're all plus money. I just bet a single unit.
Yeah. For the player props, it depends. On a typical Sunday, I also will go up to 5 units if I deem it necessary. That's pretty rare. Typically it'll be, 2 units if I like something, 1 if I just kind of want to get in some action, and then typically if I do a bigger parlay, it'll get up to 3 or 4. But 5 has been like typically my max. With preseason props, it's a good question. Someone that I really like, I will go 5 on. My lock of the year, I'll go 10 on.
Your what of the year? Ugh.
You're making my brain hurt. You make me feel better because I hate that word too.
Oh, I refuse to use it.
I don't say it either. Everybody always hits me up asking for it, and I'm just like, no.
No, at my former job, that was like the 3 guys that I did the show.
Oh, that's
that was
the L word.
Yes, that's the L word. No L bombs. Okay. Don't drop L bombs.
Lock of the year stays the lock of the year. Hit last year. I have every reasoning in the world why this will hit outside of just numbers based. So very confident in it. I released it already. It's Julio Jones over 550.5 receiving yards. Reasons being is that, 550 is an attainable number. Chris Godwin is going to start the year on the injured or on a pitch count. He's going to play week 1. He'll be on a pitch count. So Julio will be more involved. He's looked great in camp so far. Everyone's been super impressed, but his contract incentives, they start at 600 yards. He gets $250,000 every 100 yards. So 600, 700, 800, 900. I'm not sure if it's 1,000 or not, but either way, it's at least $1 million he's playing for. And the offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, will ask the players in week 14 or 15 with 3 or 4 games left, who has incentives in their deal.
I love that.
And based on that, I'm not going to say they completely changed the game plan, but like, for example, Mike Evans and the 1,000-yard record last year, where now he has 8 straight 1,000-yard seasons, the line was 1,500. So I was telling people, like, listen, they're going to make him get this record. Like, you should bet the over. And based on that, similar knowledge. The only way Julio doesn't get this is if he gets hurt. And I think if he still plays like 11 games, he's going to get this as long as he's in at the end of the year.
I love that angle, Cheah. That is so awesome to be able to realize that coaches want their players to hit it. I mean, you could say the opposite for Antonio Brown last year, right?
Yeah, I mean, he missed a bunch of games, then also, had dealing with a ton of injuries, and they were trying to get him in his incentives, and that's actually why he kind of went nuts against the Jets, is because he wasn't getting it. But that was my lock of the year. I have a couple more. Mintzy, do you want to go through a few before I go through?
I've got a few. I've got quarterback. I've got Jameis Winston over 30. I saw 36.50.5 on it. I don't have to say much because I know we got a lot to get through, but same thing as Kelly. I think the Saints, the rumors, the demise are greatly exaggerated. We'll see on the Mike Thomas thing. I like Olave. I think Jarvis Landry in the slot's a great addition on a prove-it deal back in New Orleans. And, Kamara catching the ball in the backfield, and I think Taysom Hill is going to make some plays too, tight end. So I like the weapons. I got Joe Burrow over 43.50.5. I think this year, second year removed from the knee injury, Jamar Chase settled in. I like the weapons with him, Higgins and Boyd. And I think the Bengals are going to score a lot of points now that they can actually protect him. I do think Mixon's going to have a good year too. But Burrow, just the injury his rookie year, and then him getting sacked 9 times in that Titans game. I like that they, got Alex Kapp, former Buck, and then they also signed Lyle Collins. I think they beefed up the offensive line. I've got Joe Mixon over 1,075.5 rushing was one of them. I went under Leonard Fournette 750.5 because I just don't trust him after he got paid whatsoever, and I think he's going to be flaky all year. Despite Cheah strongly disagrees. I have over 7.5 David Montgomery touchdowns, and then my receiver ones are over 11.50.5 CeeDee Lamb, which Cheah and I both really like, especially because Cowboys have bad attrition behind Lamb at receiver right now. A lot of injury. It's not good
to start the year.
Yeah, Cowboys are in a world of hurt already, and the season hasn't even started.
And then I've got over 5.5 Cortland Sutton touchdowns. I just think he's going to be a really good red zone threat with the size of Russell Wilson. The one I have over 775.5 Elijah Moore, but it's been off the board since Zach Wilson got hurt. So keep an eye on that. God, I'm not. I gave out the Mike Thomas over, but I'm not placing it till literally. I know he's playing week 1, so that one's on injured reserve with Mike Thomas's hamstring right now because it's 775.5. But
I gave it out over under 5.5
nothing on that
touchdowns.
until I know he's playing week 1 with what's going on right now. I'm ready, Cheah. That could potentially be what you're having to deal with the Antonio Gibson. Could be what I'm dealing with Mike Thomas.
Yep. All right, I'll go through my top 10. So I mentioned Julio over 550.5 receiving yards. CeeDee Lamb, me and Mintzy are big on that, over 1150. I mean, he had 1,102 last year with Amari Cooper in the fold and Gallup playing a big role. He's going to be the guy. I don't see there's any reason why he doesn't get this. I would even take a flyer on him to lead the league in receiving yards. Tom Brady over 34.5 passing touchdowns. He had 43 last year. He had 40 the year before. That seems like a very large drop off. I just think the value there is very good. James Conner over 9.5 rushing touchdowns. He had 15 rushing touchdowns last year. Chase Edmonds is gone. But what I like is he had 5 multi-touchdown games from a rushing perspective. So technically, he hit that mark in 5 games. So I don't see why he won't do that in 17. Hunter Renfrow, this has actually been lower. Hunter Renfrow over 815.5 receiving yards, 103 catches the last year. He played in the slot. I know Devontae Adams is going to be a huge presence, but it's hard for me to envision a world where a slot receiver that talented. And we all heard Derwin James talking him up on the pivot with Ryan Clark. But I don't see a world where Hunter Renfrow is under 816 yards. He's just too talented. Slot receiver than a Josh McDaniels offense typically flourish. So I love him. Leonard Fournette over 7.5 rushing touchdowns. He had 8 rushing touchdowns last year in just 14 games. He's our goal line back. Like he's going to get a ton of work in there. Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I was calling this out when it was 800 yards. It got bumped up 50 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I still love it. Over 850.5 receiving yards at plus 106. He had 90 catches for 912 yards last season. He came on big time at the end of the year, had double-digit targets in each of the last, I believe it was 6 games.
Yeah, it was. You were riding him big fancy playoff time.
Yeah. I mean, the addition of DJ Chark and even Jamison Williams, I think helps him. He's an underneath receiver. So I think expanding the field and kind of stretching it really helps him. A guy who was on big last year, Javonte Williams, over 1,250 rushing and receiving yards. He had 1,219 last year, and he's splitting work with Melvin Gordon. Now they both had 203 carries. He had 43 catches last year too. So I really like him as a receiver there. And then my last two, Jameis over 13.5 interceptions. I mean, he's in Tampa. He played, a couple games last year. He had 14 touchdowns, 3 picks. I get it. Maybe he's a change guy. He got LASIK, but in 4 or 5.
LASIK like a decade ago.
No, he got it after he left.
No, he got it before. No, he got it before. Yeah, no, it was recent.
I could have swore that was like forever.
It was a Saint. It's been since he's been a Saint.
Yeah. So he's had 14 or more interceptions in 4 or 5 years without that. And the only year he didn't have 14 or more picks, he only played in 13 games. So I really
the thing with him last year.
He's going to want to throw 1 interception a game.
Well, last year he didn't throw many, but he wasn't pushing the ball down the field because the Saints didn't have any weapons. And so he was playing game manager. But this year it's not going to be like that. Now they got Olave and hopefully Mike Thomas and Landry. I think they're going to have stripes.
He is going to be a pick machine. And my last one, Christian McCaffrey, under 880.5 rushing yards. Guy's played in 10 games the last 2 years. He's 26, so he still has theoretically another year in fantasy football terms, but I am just not betting on this guy to stay healthy. And also their offense just stinks. And that is my top 10.
Like it.
I like most of it.
We'll see. We'll certainly.
I feel bad. I've always got to remember that for some reason, the guy that lives in New Jersey is this big Bucks fan, and it throws me for a loop because I didn't mean to come in shots firing about your team and taking Mintzy's side, but I think it's funny that
take as many as you want. And look, we'll see if it can work out. That's so that Saints Bucks Monday night's December the what?
I think it's December 2nd.
Hold on. Let me get you guys my dorky calendar
I know, Shay, we're going to have an on fire stream that NFL week 2 Bucks at Saints on that Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern.
It is Monday, December 5th. Right after I go meet Ariel at Broncos Ravens in Baltimore. I'm going to die this football season, you guys. I'm really excited. It sounds like I got to fulfill a lot of the travel requirements that I didn't get to do all of last year. So I'm excited to go check out all the new Barstool Sportsbooks this fall.
You guys need to have your team schedule on your phone. It's the only way to live.
Yeah. Well, we got
if you even saw my phone, it is like, it's pristine. I don't need any more apps that don't really apply to me when I can just use the Google machine and figure it out.
Kelly and I have a trip. So the Barstool Sportsbook launching in Kansas on September 1st. Kelly and I going to be spending NFL week 1 watching the Saints-Falcons game on my phone at the NASCAR track.
No. Oh, don't you worry. I already made them promise me that we were going to be in club level. I am all for a NASCAR race. I am all for going to Kansas. But week 1, they already promised me we'll go down to the pit. We'll do our thing. But I have full access to the remotes and the TVs in the suite because you're right. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm all for.
I can't miss Saints.
Kansas is launching. We're gonna go. Me, Mintz, Megan. We're gonna go to K-State, Mizzou. I actually just got a text. We all got field passes.
I'm in on that. I didn't know I was in on that.
Yeah, my aunt's gonna be on DD.
9:30 a.m. kickoff?
No. So I was in Vegas when it said 9 a.m. kickoff. That means it's 11 Central, 12 Eastern.
Okay.
Sorry,
okay,
I was down really bad last week in Vegas.
Kickoff, and I was. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
No, it's going to be great. We're going to have a great time, and we're not going to miss out on any NFL bets. NASCAR is going to be fun, but NASCAR is going to be like definitely second place to opening week of NFL. We're going to have a great time. Going to throw an awesome party, and thank God I'm not flying out until Monday.
Yeah. From going Big Apple to the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah. I'm so excited to show you guys my little fun college town. It's going to be a great time. I'm so excited that my home state got sports betting. I mean, I never would have thought. Yep. Kansas is moving up in the power rankings, guys.
Absolutely. Do Do you guys have any, Kelly, sorry, I didn't warn you about this. I could just talk about Mintzy, but any like last minute sleepers we should talk about for fantasy draft season? We can talk about this for like 5 minutes if you want to end on this. Mintzy, is there anyone
I've just got here? Well, the thing is, there's just so much depth. The thing is, you and I discussed on the defense episode, the wide receiver depth is staggering this year. And so all your sleepers, there's so many good sleeper receivers late that I like. And, the sleeper term, I don't know what you call a sleeper, like how irrelevant they have to be now, but some names I like. Rashad Bateman stepping into his role in Baltimore now that Hollywood Brown's out. Alan Lazard has a huge opportunity in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. Juju Smith-Schuster's got a monster opportunity. Some receivers got to do something with Mahomes and KC. And the rookies, I love Olave. Like I said, I was big on the Mike Thomas comeback. I'm shifting that kind of toward Olave since this hamstring thing's got me concerned. I'm concerned Mike Thomas doesn't like football. I got to be honest. That's where I'm starting to be. I'm starting to be concerned that, like, does he love football? Like, I'm getting to that point. So I like Olave. And then Cheah and I disagree on this guy, but like a lot of the analysis I use of these rookies is what I saw in college. And I think Treylon Burks is just stepping into such a great role in Tennessee with A.J. Brown being out. And him at Arkansas last year, Jefferson, their quarterback, was not a good passer, and Burks bailed him out all year with just crazy catches and body control and all that stuff that I think should translate well to the NFL. So I just gave you a bunch of receivers, but those are all sleepers to me.
Yeah, there's been a couple of guys that my partner and I have talked about, and I'm afraid that this guy is no longer a sleeper. KJ Hamler out of Denver. I mean, I'm really curious to see. I know some people are really high on Russell Wilson. I'm trying to keep my expectation level very low. I do have a 25-1 Broncos to win the Super Bowl, but that's not because of Russell. That's because I thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers. I do think Russell is, I'm hearing great things out of the locker room in Denver. I do think Russell is an absolute and utter fucking dork. And Megan makes fun of me about every single show about Let's Ride on money shots. And I get it. It's funny. But I do think that this wide receiver group in Denver, having a guy not named Drew Lock, is going to be really good for them. And KJ Hamler, I think, is going to be an absolute stud. And it might be a year too early on him, but I could see him.
That makes sense. I like that, Kelly, because a lot of people think Judy's got the shot, but Judy hadn't proven anything yet in the NFL.
Listen, I like Jerry Jeudy as well, but I don't want to draft him. I think he's a very good wide receiver that has not lived up to his full potential as of yet. Could it be this year? Maybe. But, he's got KJ Hamler nipping at his heels. So it's either step up or get out of the way. And that's why those are the two guys that I have circled. As I mentioned, kind of pivoting this year from this run-heavy running back league that, this is my 6th or 7th year with these guys. And the whole first round is almost always running backs, right? The top 8 running backs are like the first 8 picks. And I'm just going to try something different this year and see if it can't get my team deeper into the playoffs, because losing round 1 of the playoffs, I'd rather just not go.
Speaking of KJs, the guy I really like is KJ Osborne on the Minnesota Vikings. He is going as wide receiver 69 right now. I have him as wide receiver 37. I think he's got a great opportunity, especially if Adam Thielen misses some time, which he typically does, in this passing offense, which you're talking about Kirk Cousins airing out a lot more. One name that is starting to emerge out of Kansas City is Isaiah Pacheco. So he is a 7th round pick from Rutgers, but he's solidly built. He's really fast. He's the guy wearing number 10, the Tyreek Hill number. And it looks like he might be the backup to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who stinks. So he is a name I'm watching. I'm not ready to fully commit to him yet, but I am definitely keeping tabs on him in the next couple days. If not, Jerick McKinnon, I think, is a guy who's just going to be a steady Eddie guy and could be a decent play for people that are in PPR leagues very late. He had in the Chiefs playoffs games, he had 15 touches or more in each game. So he's a guy that they absolutely could put in around the goal line and is a threat. And then Damian Pierce, I don't know that he's, a big sleeper at this point, but he's probably going to start for the Texans. I really like him. And obviously I'm reevaluating this entire Antonio Gibson stance after he is playing so much on special teams now. He fumbled on his 2nd touch in preseason and has kind of been in the doghouse since. I'm not fully buying it, but all the reports are Brian Robinson. It seems to be like the guy taking over. I'm not fully buying it yet, but it's a wait and see. I've been reading way too many Washington Commanders press conferences. Appreciate Kelly and Vegas.
Thanks, Kelly, for your time.
I know you got
check out all your individual prop bets in the Barstool Sportsbook. If you pick your fantasy guys, you can bet on all of it all season long.